Well, and I think to go back to the attachment thing, if you have poor attachment, a marriage is the best place to address that problem, right? If you have somebody who you both can look at each other and be like, look, I got problems, but I'm in it for the long haul. If you're willing to put up with my problems, I'll put up with your problems. We'll try to figure it out. I am going to do my level best to not go anywhere, even if you're a crazy person. And if you can do your level best to not go anywhere, maybe I could start trusting that eventually. And I think if we could both start trusting it, then we've got the best shot we could have in this life of feeling more stable, more secure, which could help us drop the addictions we have, which are making us not capable of saving money, not capable of having a larger friend group, not capable of really investing in the community. You know, I think the attachment piece is a big selling point. And then the other is marriages, like I said in the first conversation, there's so many practical benefits to marriage that I think those speak for themselves. Financially, in terms of social connection, there's a ton of practical benefits.
They don't speak for themselves. They need to be spoken for right now in the culture.
That's true. That's true. Well, you end up earning and saving way more money when you're married than you would even on your own as just a single man or woman. Your children, if you are blessed enough to have them, will be less likely to go to jail, earn more money, have a more stable family themselves, will be less likely to die young. There's tons of benefits for your children. And then long term, it's not just that you have the connection with your spouse, you have the connection with their whole family. And again, maybe you marry somebody and it starts off with like a lot of like, maybe their family isn't so stable. But again, those things can change over time and you actually have a role in how stable that family becomes. Because you're like a lot of times when people grieve the loss of a spouse, they also end up grieving the loss of connections that spouse brought them. And particularly if it's the wife that died, because she tends to be the one that ties them in. Yeah. You know, men live a lot longer when they're married. And for women, on the women's side, yeah, you're not going to live longer if you're married to a man because you tend to live long anyhow. But your children will be significantly more stable, live longer, and more successful if you have their father married to you or at least really, really involved in the picture, but marriage is best. And so for both sides of the equation, there's a really strong argument to be married. And the thing is, if you're unhappy in your marriage, you're probably going to be unhappy anyways. Like you think of people, Paul likes his example of like the things that get in your way, right? But there's all these studies. You win the lottery, you're going to be just as happy in 3 years as you were beforehand. You become a paraplegic, you're going to be just as happy in 10 years as you were beforehand. It's unlikely that your marriage is the reason that you're unhappy or happy.
So do we add that to the list? It's for happy people, right?
No, no, it's for all people because it's better. Okay, I'm like, oh, I horribly communicated.
No, happy people will have better marriages. I mean, you're right? Unhappy people, they're going to be unhappy either way. So I guess your point is you're going to be unhappy either way, so you might as well get married.
Yeah, because it actually has the potential to change you as a person, which then you could become the kind of person who could be happy, whether your spouse passes away afterwards or not, because it allows you to work through some of those issues that most relationships don't have the stability to allow you to work through. Because the nice thing in a marriage is Eamon sees all my crap, right? The most powerful things for me in our marriage have been the times where I've lied and then I've had to confess it to him and then he forgives me, or I've mishandled money and then I come shamefaced and I'm like, I ruined this whole thing. And then we work it through. But it's the experiences of being a failure, having moral failures and making choices that were wrong, not just mistakes, but making the wrong choices and being loved and not having the relationship fall apart. That's what builds the attachment, because you can be a failure and be loved.
And you are transformed by also being the one who extends that to the other person. Mm-hmm. it's not all hinging upon your spouse being incredible and forgiving and all of that. When you extend that, you're transformed. And when you get the opportunity to see how somebody responds to your love and your forgiveness, your mercy, that's powerful too. And maybe they don't change right away. Maybe it's over the course of 5 or 10 or 15 years, but they're transformed by that. I get to see that as well.
You
And
bet.
again, it's not 100% thing that always happens. Some people do have like the really crappy marriage where the person never sees anything good about them for whatever reason they stay. Um, and it's really difficult. Always at all times, but I think those are more the exception. I think we end up suffering from collective vicarious trauma from all these terrible stories when and we don't get to hear the beautiful stories as much. And some of it is sometimes people are just not wanting to be rude and be that person who's like, oh, your marriage is really hard, but you know what, mine's great. But we suffer for not hearing the good stories as well. That's where we lose a vision for the beauty.
Well,